Try to remember your first birthday. Try harder. You can't. Not 1 second of it. Somebody was there. Somebody sang. Cake touched your face for the very first time, and none of it exists in your mind anymore. Most people assume this is just normal forgetting, the same way you forget what you had for lunch 3 Tuesdays ago. But the real answer is far stranger. Your brain didn't lose those memories. It never filed them away in the first place. And the reason why says something unsettling about what memory actually is. Here's the strange part. You weren't unconscious as a baby. You were awake. You were learning language, recognizing faces, forming preferences. Somewhere in there, a version of you existed, fully alive to the world. So where did that version go? Scientists call this infantile amnesia. Sigmund Freud noticed it over a century ago. He assumed it was repression, memories buried because they were too disturbing to keep. He was wrong, but he was one of the first people to ask the right question. Why does a healthy, functioning brain erase its own early operating history? The modern answer starts with a neuroscientist named Paul Frankland. In 2014, he ran an experiment on mice that changed how researchers think about early memory. Young mice, it turns out, grow new brain cells at an extraordinary rate. This process is called neurogenesis. Frankland found that this rapid cell growth in infancy actually disrupts the circuits storing memories. New neurons wire in. Old connections get overwritten. It isn't that the memory fades, it's that the shelf it was sitting on gets rebuilt, again and again, before anything can stay long enough to matter. Think about that for a second. Your brain, in its most important growth phase, was sacrificing memory for construction. It was building the scaffolding of you. And scaffolding doesn't care what happened while it was going up. But neurogenesis is only half the story. The other half comes from a researcher named Carolyn Rovee-Collier, who spent decades studying infant memory using a method involving mobiles above cribs. She would tie a ribbon from a baby's ankle to a mobile, let the baby learn that kicking made it move, then test days or weeks later to see if the baby remembered. What she found was surprising. Babies could remember, for days, sometimes weeks. The memory system worked. It just wasn't built to last, and it wasn't built to be retrieved the way adult memory is. This is the detail most people miss. Babies do form memories. They just form them in a format your adult brain can no longer open. Imagine writing a diary in a language you later forget how to read. The pages are still there. You simply lost the key. So, what's missing? Language is a big piece. Around age 3 or 4, children develop what's called autobiographical memory, the ability to place an event inside a story with a beginning, a middle, and a sense of self at the center of it. A researcher named Patricia Bauer has spent her career mapping how this shift happens. Before that narrative structure exists, an experience has nowhere to attach itself. No story, no scaffolding to hang it on. It's like taking a photograph with no album to put it in. The photograph gets taken, then it drifts, unfiled, until it's gone. Here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. This means your sense of a continuous you, stretching all the way back to birth, is an illusion your brain built later. There was no seamless witness recording your life since day one. There was a break, an early self that experienced things and vanished, and a later self that woke up one day already mid-story, with no memory of how it got there. Does that feel disorienting? It should, because it means identity isn't something you've had the whole time. It's something that was constructed piece by piece once your brain finally had the architecture to hold a narrative. Now here's the twist almost nobody talks about. This isn't a flaw. It's a trade. Your brain chose growth over preservation. In the first few years of life, you needed flexibility more than history. You needed to absorb an entire language, learn to walk, map the emotional temperature of every face around you. A brain trying to preserve every memory during that period would have been a brain trying to do 2 enormous jobs at once, and something would have given. Evolution picked development. It let the early memories go so the architecture underneath them could finish forming properly. There's a researcher named Nora Newcomb who has argued that this isn't even really amnesia in the way we use the word for adults. Amnesia implies losing something you once had access to. But infants may never have had the retrieval systems necessary to access those memories as memories at all. The experience happened. The indexing system to find it again simply wasn't finished yet. It's less like a fire destroying a library and more like a library being built one shelf at a time, with the first boxes of books left outside before the shelving was ready. So what does this mean for you, sitting here today? It means the you from your earliest years is a stranger you'll never meet again, not because something went wrong, but because something went exactly as it should. Every skill you have now, every word you're reading, every quiet sense of who you are was built on the foundation that a forgotten version of you laid down first, brick by brick, without ever getting credit for it. And this pattern doesn't fully stop in infancy either. You've likely noticed it in smaller ways as an adult. Periods of intense change, a new job, a new city, a mental health crisis often come with strangely patchy memories of that time. The common thread is the same one Frankland found in his mice. When the brain is busy rewiring itself to adapt, memory formation takes a back seat. Growth and preservation compete for the same resources, and growth almost always wins. Maybe that's the real lesson hiding in all of this. The moments in your life that feel the blurriest in hindsight, the ones you can barely piece together afterward, might be exactly the moments your brain was working hardest to change you. Not the moments where nothing happened, the moments where everything did. So the next time you try to reach back for your first steps, your first word, the first time someone held you and come up with nothing but silence, don't read it as loss. Read it as evidence. Evidence that a version of you once existed who was too busy becoming something to bother remembering what it was becoming from. You didn't lose your earliest self. You were built on top of them. If this changed the way you think about your own memory, hit like, drop a comment with the earliest memory you do have, and subscribe to this channel for more videos exploring the strange science hiding inside your everyday mind. Turn on notifications so you never miss the next one.